The burden of proof. The obligation to substantiate a claim with evidence is the foundation of truth. But there exists another burden, a quieter, deeper, more insidious one that has shadowed humanity for millennia. This burden is not about evidence, it is about endurance. It is the weight of knowing, of seeing clearly in a world conditioned to obscure and distort. This is the true burden, and it has cost countless individuals their comfort, belonging, and in many cases, their lives. This is the burden of truth. Many of history's greatest revelations, revolutions, and societal advancements did not arise from communities or collectives working in harmony, but from the agonizing struggles of a few extraordinary thinkers. Whether it was Newton's discovery of gravity, Darwin's theory of evolution, or Einstein's relativity, history's most groundbreaking ideas often emerged from individuals willing to shoulder the weight of clarity in a resistant world. Culture, tradition, and religion have been instrumental in progressing humanity from primal beings to the establishment of science and philosophy. Yet they often relied on ruthless methods that, while perhaps once necessary, are now outdated and hinder further advancement. Religions have long weaponized rejection as a form of social conditioning, misconstruing atheism into anti-theism to radicalize both believers and skeptics. Consider the global population 2,500 years ago and the proportion of that population who were philosophers. Now compare that to today. By sheer numbers, the percentage of philosophers in our vastly larger and more educated global society should have risen exponentially. Yet it hasn't. Even with universal education, the internet, and artificial intelligence, the world has practically no philosophers. This alone reveals something profoundly wrong with society. How did we get here? How did we let this happen? Socrates, the father of Western philosophy, bore the burden of seeing the world as it truly is. His burden wasn't merely to argue or prove, it was to question, confront, and expose. By peeling back Athens' social and moral pretenses, he unearthed truths so uncomfortable that the city-states silenced him. His trial and execution were not about justice, they were about preserving the illusion of stability. Offered exile, Socrates chose death, proclaiming, "The unexamined life is not worth living." His burden was not just his knowledge, but his unwavering commitment to live by it. His death is emblematic of society's often violent resistance to independent thought. This dynamic echoes throughout history. Giordano Bruno faced the flames for suggesting an infinite universe. Galileo endured house arrest for affirming it. Their burden wasn't just proof, but the heavier weight of disrupting entrenched systems of lies. Their truths, threatening to those in power, demanded immense personal sacrifice. The modern burden. Today, this burden begins early. From childhood, we are conditioned to prioritize social harmony over uncomfortable truths. A child pointing out hypocrisy in adults is hushed. A teenager questioning religious dogma is corrected. Those who dare deviate from social norms are labeled arrogant or narcissistic, because independence itself is treated as a flaw. Even in well-meaning environments, curiosity is often met with quiet discouragement. Raised eyebrows, dismissive laughter, and withheld approval teach us to suppress our clarity. We've moved from dramatic martyrdom to death by 1,000 cuts. The pressure isn't to recant, but to doubt one's own perception of reality, to join the collective pretense that the emperor's clothes are magnificent. The mechanism is classical conditioning, the same process Pavlov documented when training dogs. A child who speaks an uncomfortable truth and meets punishment learns to associate honesty with pain. Most of us grow up in households where joy, spontaneity, and exploratory intelligence are not consistently rewarded. We are taught to behave, to fit in, and to survive. By adulthood, many people are living inside conditioned reflexes they mistake for personality. Experimentation, trial and error, is the principle from which all others originate, the cornerstone of intellectual growth. Yet we train children to fear failure. Mistakes are met with shame and embarrassment, conditioning them to avoid risk and prioritize obedience over discovery. In doing so, we stifle curiosity, and society loses potential philosophers before they even begin. The academic system, burdened by bureaucratic structures and funding constraints, reinforces this by rewarding safe, fundable research over bold, controversial inquiry. Universities, once bastions of free thought, now struggle to produce even a single genuine philosopher. Historically, most great philosophers survive not through widespread societal support, but thanks to the patronage of wealthy individuals, philanthropists, and politicians. Socrates had Plato, who sustained and amplified his ideas. During the Renaissance, thinkers often relied on the backing of aristocrats and progressive patrons who valued independent thought and shielded them from social pressures. In today's world, such support structures are largely absent. To be a full-time thinker now requires navigating a society that demands constant productivity and financial contribution. Current systems, whether government benefits, job seeker allowances, or universal basic income, would need to evolve to recognize intellectual inquiry as a valid and essential pursuit. Without such reforms, full-time philosophical inquiry remains a privilege that few can afford. A standard job and deep, independent thought are rarely compatible. The relentless demands of one leave little room for the other. It's no coincidence that true philosophers today are rare. Systems of education, media, and culture prioritize conformity over critical thinking. Memorization is rewarded over inquiry, and consensus is valued over dissent. The result is a society too scared to experiment and adults too hesitant to question authority. But when people are desperate, merely surviving, they can't see what's been taken away. When external systems relentlessly demand conformity, the cost of resistance eventually turns inward. This profound isolation can awaken what Freud identified as the death drive, thanatos, an unconscious urge towards self-destruction and the cessation of struggle. For the truth-teller, this often manifests as a repetition compulsion. They are driven to repeatedly expose themselves to environments hostile to their clarity, suffering the same rejections until their will is broken. Exhausted by the constant friction of standing apart, the thinker is tempted to annihilate their own intellect. They diminish themselves to preserve the group's comfort, trading the painful capacity for truth for the anesthetic of approval, and slowly extinguishing their own philosophical spark. The truth is, much of life's work could be done playfully. However, there are those who want justice and equality, and those who want systems of exploitation. Playful productivity requires time and patience to cultivate. Sure, corporations could spend the time to improve work practices and foster a more joyful environment. But why bother? People need jobs to survive. If they don't like it, there's always someone to replace them. This system isn't broken, it's designed this way. Politicians make rules that crush people and then penalize them for not being able to stand under the weight simply because it's more economically efficient. In an age of misinformation, polarization, and existential threats, seeing clearly can feel like a curse. Those in power spew lies, spreading fabrication as fact, leaving us disinformed, isolated, and fearful. Journalists who speak truth to power face an ongoing struggle. Governments silence reporters, manipulate narratives, and criminalize dissent. This year, 72% of the world's population lives under authoritarian rule. These leaders crush democratic institutions from within, spread to other nations, form global alliances, and shift power in their favor. The systems that govern us no longer prioritize human flourishing. Time is ticking, and if we fail to act, we will lose the freedom to act altogether. That is the tipping point. We are about to fall off the cliff, and nobody seems to notice or care. We've faced wars, famines, and genocides, but this is bigger than all of that. If we allow dictators, billionaires, and private corporations to lead us in place of true philosophers, they will trash ecosystems on a planetary scale, and we will witness the collapse of life as we know it. Our duty is to oppose those who care for nothing but themselves, because if we don't, we face extinction. For too long, we have let ourselves go. We have allowed systems of exploitation to dictate our reality. These aren't just policy failures, they are existential threats to humanity. Treating people like commodities, gaslighting us into believing we are powerless, and exploiting our apathy has led us here. Someone must win this battle. Someone must act. The call to action. This is an outright attack on all of us. The land we stand on, the air we breathe, the water we drink. And we're supposed to sit back and let that happen. Let's call it for what it is: malicious, deliberate, and unjust. These are not just headlines, they are calls to arms. Cries for help that demand action. To some extent, we all knew what was happening. We've heard snippets of the truth, but hearing is not enough. We need to act. The time for passive acknowledgement is over. The systems we fight against thrive on our inaction, on our belief that nothing can be done. Conclusion: bearing the weight together. Socrates and Plato argued that philosophers should be kings. In an ideal society, those who prioritize wisdom and the greater good would lead. After the execution of Socrates, Plato left Athens in disgust, traveling widely to study mathematics, geometry, and foreign philosophies. But then, in an act of extraordinary courage, he returned to face the very society that had killed his teacher. Through dramatic performances and dialogues, he reintroduced Socratic ideas to an audience that had rejected them, risking everything to preserve philosophical thought. He then went on to found the Academy, the first institution of higher learning in the Western world. Here, he created a haven for independent thought, establishing the foundations for modern education and philosophy. The world is in desperate need of philosophers. Plato, Socrates, Galileo, and modern truth-tellers alike remind us that the burden of truth is not just a personal struggle, but a societal responsibility. We need this courage today. The world's problems, from ecological destruction to systemic inequality, require philosophers who can see clearly and speak honestly. Not just one, but several extraordinary thinkers who can help humanity meet its monsters and find a better path forward. Only by protecting and nurturing true philosophical inquiry can we address the challenges of our modern world. Like Plato, we must actively create spaces where natural curiosity and bold questioning thrive. The monsters are real, but so is our capacity to overcome them. The future depends on our willingness to bear the burden of truth, not alone, as so many have had to, but together. I hope someone finds this. No one said or did anything to stop them. It's too late for me. I was alone. It may not be too late for you. Philosophical integrity 1. The call to integrity. Philosophical integrity is the unwavering commitment to truth, understanding, and the pursuit of higher principles, even when this commitment requires profound personal sacrifice. It is the refusal to betray the deepest insights of reason and conscience for the sake of friendship, wealth, social standing, or personal comfort. 2. The willingness to sacrifice. Sacrifice of comfort. True philosophy demands discomfort. The questioning of fundamental assumptions often alienates us from what is familiar, comforting, and widely accepted. Integrity requires embracing this alienation rather than retreating into the safety of consensus. Sacrifice of status and wealth. Financial security and social prestige often rest upon conformity, repeating what is popular rather than what is true. Philosophical integrity requires the willingness to lose these privileges when they conflict with honesty, creativity, and intellectual rigor. Sacrifice of relationships. Friendships and alliances can become chains if they require silence, compromise of principles, or intellectual dishonesty. To stand by what reason compels us to believe, even when this stance estranges us from those we love, is the hardest and most necessary demand of integrity. Sacrifice of quality of life. The pursuit of innovation and deeper knowledge may call us away from ease and towards solitude, poverty, or social condemnation.
Philosophical integrity accepts this trade, the flourishing of thought above the flourishing of the flesh. 3. The greater good. This sacrifice is not mere self-denial. It is grounded in the conviction that truth and knowledge are not private luxuries, but gifts to humanity. Integrity in philosophy is the engine of the greatest innovations, not only technological, but ethical, cultural, and existential. It makes new ways of seeing and being possible. 4. Against corruption of the mind. The gravest corruption is the corruption of thought, bending truth to serve power, convenience, or comfort. Philosophical integrity is the refusal to let thought be bought, bullied, or seduced. It is the disciplined love of truth that keeps philosophy from decaying into propaganda or sophistry. 5. Integrity as a creative force. Far from being merely negative or ascetic, philosophical integrity is creative. It clears away illusion so that new ideas can emerge. It dares to go where others fear to look. Every revolution of thought, scientific, ethical, or artistic, was born from those who placed integrity above comfort. 6. The oath of the philosopher. To live by philosophical integrity is to live in service of something greater than oneself, the possibility of a truer, freer, more creative humanity. To say, I will not lie, even if it costs me everything, for in truth, everything worthwhile is built.